In the current version of Modern Warships, a new attribute called visibility has been introduced. This attribute determines when you will be spotted by an enemy, and it comes in three main types: underwater, aerial, and surface. Underwater visibility applies to underwater units like submarines, aerial visibility to air units like fighters and helicopters, and surface visibility to surface vessels such as destroyers, cruisers, and carriers. These attributes can be seen on the new minimap, which now shows the entire battlefield instead of just a small area around your unit. Each visibility type appears as a circle surrounding your unit's icon. The blue circle represents underwater visibility, the green circle represents aerial visibility, and the white circle represents surface visibility. To help you guys better understand how visibility works, let me give you guys an example. I'll just be using an illustration for this, since it's a bit difficult to demonstrate directly in the game, and the illustration makes things much clearer. In this example, we have an aircraft and a destroyer trying to spot each other. The aircraft will be detected by the destroyer once the destroyer overlaps with the surface visibility range of the aircraft, but the destroyer will remain invisible. It will only be visible if the aircraft overlaps the aerial visibility range of the destroyer. The same principle applies when a submarine and a destroyer are trying to spot each other, but in this case the destroyer is detected through underwater visibility instead of aerial visibility, since the submarine is an underwater vessel. However, not all aircraft follow this logic when it comes to spotting submerged submarines. Only helicopters, as well as strike fighters and bombers with anti-submarine capability, such as the PSF-01 and SH-37 Vegan, or the P-1 Kawasaki and P-8A Poseidon, follow this logic. The range of those visibility types isn't fixed, meaning the values shown in your unit's stats may not reflect what you're actually using in battle. With the new visibility system, a unit's visibility range is dynamic and now depends on your actions during combat. There are two new attributes for this, which are the movement penalty and the firing penalty. The movement penalty determines how much is added to your visibility when your ship moves at a certain speed. The higher the value of this attribute, the greater the increase in visibility. It is said that the penalty increases at certain speed thresholds, specifically at 25%, 60%, and 90% of your unit's maximum speed. However, this doesn't seem to be fully implemented yet, since you can currently only set the speed to half and full. But the penalty thing has definitely been implemented, and you can clearly see your visibility radius grow on the minimap as you accelerate. The firing penalty works the same, but instead of being triggered by movement, it activates whenever you fire a weapon. Every weapon in the game, including air defenses, has its own firing penalty, and your visibility increases the moment the weapon is fired. Fortunately, firing penalties don't stack, and only the highest penalty from your active weapons is taken into account. To help you guys better understand this, let me give you guys another example. The JS Yamato Aegis has a main cannon with a firing penalty of 35, and I've equipped it with MLRS for its grenade launcher, which has a firing penalty of 30. If firing penalties stack, using both weapons would result in a total of firing penalty of 65, which would push the ship's visibility beyond the minimap. But since the rule states it doesn't stack, and only the active weapon with the highest penalty is applied, the firing penalty of the main cannon will only be the one in effect if both weapons are fired. Now, the firing penalty don't stay in effect for long, and its duration simply depends on whether you're spotted or not. If you are spotted while firing, the penalty is retained for a couple of seconds before it resets. But if you are not spotted while firing, the penalty is reset immediately after firing. Meanwhile, the movement penalty will always be applied as long as you're moving. It only goes away when you stopped moving. So if your unit already has a large visibility, these penalties will certainly hit hard. However, some ships in the game can reduce their visibility, which helps lessen the impact of the penalties, and this is thanks to another new attribute called Stealth. Stealth has existed in the game before, but as a feature rather than an attribute. This new attribute reduces a unit's visibility across all areas. The higher the value of this attribute, the more it decreases the unit's visibility. This can be found on both ships and aircraft, but unfortunately, not all of them have it. It's only available to those designed to have stealth. Those are the three attributes that affect your unit's visibility. There are also new attributes that work together with your unit's visibility. These are the minimum exposure distance, viewing range, and recon data. Both minimum exposure distance and viewing range are visible on the minimap. The minimum exposure distance is shown as a gray circle closest to your unit's icon, while the viewing range appears as a gray cone that moves in the direction you're looking. The minimum exposure distance allows ships to detect targets even when their line of sight is blocked by obstacles. But it is exclusive to ships, can only be used to detect other ships, and has a fixed range of approximately 1 kilometer. The viewing range determines how far you can see a spotted target. This attribute already existed in the game, but it previously had unlimited range, allowing you to lock onto targets from any distance. Now it's the opposite. The viewing range is limited, and targets outside of it will be invisible to you, although their icons will still appear as an outline on the minimap. The recon data determines how long you can see your target before you lose vision on them. The target doesn't automatically disappear when you go outside their visibility range, or hide behind an obstacle because of this attribute. The higher the value of this attribute, the longer the target stays visible to you before vanishing. Among these attributes, there are 4 attributes that cannot be upgraded. These are the minimum exposure distance, recon data, movement penalty, and firing penalty. The rest are upgradable and must be upgraded, as each of them are very important in battle. Aside from the new attributes, there are also some new and updated features in the visibility system that are important to know. One of those features is the detection indicator. It's an existing part of the game that has been updated with a new appearance and additional information. You can now see what detected your unit, whether it was a ship, aircraft, or detection through minimum exposure distance. The next one is actually new, which is the threat indicator. This feature helps you understand what and where you're being shot at. You'll see it near the crosshair area, and there are 3 types of indicators you'll come across. If someone locks missiles or torpedoes onto you, a yellow indicator will appear. If a missile or torpedo is approaching, you'll see a red indicator. And if you're hit by an artillery-type weapon, an orange indicator will appear. The last feature is the projectile markers. It's another existing part of the game that has been updated to show unique markers for different types of missiles and torpedoes, instead of using a single triangle-shaped marker for all of them. Since the markers are hard to describe, I'll just show an image of each marker along with a brief description. Now for my thoughts on the new visibility system. Personally, I'm fine with most of the features that were added and updated, and I'm guessing many of you guys are too. The main concern for a lot of players lies in the core mechanics of the system itself, and for me, I didn't like it at first, but after playing many matches and testing it out, I don't dislike it overall anymore. It's essentially the same as before, just reversed, and now with added penalties. While I don't dislike it overall, that doesn't mean I think everything about it is good. There are still parts I don't like. It's just that the positives outweigh the negatives. For example, the removal of the circular icon for undetected units. That feature is more important than ever now, since you need to keep opponents outside your visibility range, which is hard to do when they're completely invisible. Sure, the threat indicator shows where shots are coming from, but I don't think that information is enough. I also don't like how we now have to rely more on aircraft carriers. The new visibility system is now more about who can maintain visibility, rather than who can gain it first. Because of that, helicopters have become less relevant, while aircraft carriers have grown more important, since they're the ones that can reliably maintain visibility. I find this problematic because matches are random, and you don't always end up with a team that has an aircraft carrier, unless you form a squadron. Considering that, along with how the visibility system works, it can make matches feel unfair. However, changes to this new system are likely on the way, as it is incomplete, something that's clear from how the movement penalty was implemented, and there have been numerous complaints about it. So this video might become less accurate in the future, but for now, this is how the system currently works. Now, that'll be it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about the new system. I'd love to hear all your thoughts on it. Hopefully you guys like and find this video helpful, and if you all did, please leave a like and subscribe to support me. Thank you so much for watching.